Hi, I'm David Dodge. Welcome to Green Energy Futures. On Sunday, June 16th, Capital Power's Genesee 2 coal-fired power plant went offline at 10:57 p.m. This marked the end of coal-fired electricity in Alberta. Coal-fired electricity in Alberta dates back to the 1800s, and by 2001, it was generating 80% of Alberta's electricity. Phasing out coal in Alberta is the largest single emissions-cutting measure in Canadian history.
I'm Scott McDougall with the Thepem Institute. I'm our electricity policy director. And the Thepem Institute is a clean energy think tank focused on solutions to Canada's big electricity, energy transition, and climate challenges related to energy.
McDougall worked for Suncor in the oil sands, then on climate policy for the Alberta government before moving to the Thepem Institute.
I mean, Alberta's first coal plants came online in the 1800s. I'm trying to remember the number. I think it was around 1875 or something like that. But yeah, Alberta's been about 80% coal-fired power on its grid since the early 2000s. And a lot of people thought it would not be possible to get to zero coal on the grid. I mean, for a real brief history on that, I mean, in 2012, phase out of coal-fired power was contemplated in Alberta, and they'd set a reasonable target to be 2061. And then by the end of 2015, it was set at 2030. And then with last week's coal phase out, I mean, even that target was done 5 years early.
Alberta's coal plants were responsible for more than 7% of Canada's greenhouse gas emissions in 2005.
It is likely, maybe definitely, the single biggest reduction. And I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the health benefits associated with phasing out coal, because it's not just a climate story. So, for example, in 2015, there were at least 58 premature deaths just in Alberta associated with the emissions from coal. It was around $460 million per year in costs associated with those health impacts.
This achievement is somewhat tempered, since a lot of the coal was replaced with natural gas.
So with the shift to gas, I guess we've got both a greenhouse gas emissions challenge where we've still got 60%-ish of the emissions that we would have had with coal, but now we got them coming from gas. So we've got to figure out how to deal with that problem.
Two of the natural gas-fired generators at Genesee have a combined production capacity of 822 megawatts. And Capital Power's original plan was to build a carbon capture and storage project to deal with the emissions.
I was sad, quite disappointed when Capital Power also last month announced that it was no longer going to progress its carbon capture and storage project for these repowered Genesee gas-fired plants. That could have been, I think a lot of us were really hoping that would have been just a fabulous demonstration project for the world to see CCS done on gas-fired power plants. Because at scale, it hasn't been done anywhere in the world, to my knowledge. So we got a ways to go to get toward a net zero kind of path.
Critics are increasingly worried that carbon capture and storage will not be widely adopted unless companies are required to do it. So, if King Coal is dead, long live What King? Next week, we ask Scott McDougall where Alberta goes from here. Missed a story? Subscribe to our podcast at GreenEnergyFutures.ca. For Green Energy Futures, I'm David Dodge.